Hey everybody, I'm Robert. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Apex. I'm down here in the barn. Today I want to talk to you guys about Apex, the evolution of Apex, the business model, and really the thought processes that have gone behind really making decisions. Do we do rental cars? Do we do taxis? How does the hotel work and things like that? This might be interesting for you guys from a business perspective, how we balanced all of these decisions out. This is not a time-sensitive video. This is something that I think will carry some, interesting points well into the future. But I do have two time-sensitive points that I want to talk about really quickly, so we'll get through those, and then I'll elaborate on them afterwards. The rental cars for 2024 season going forward, we will not be doing rental cars. We have a solution for you guys, so if you email through the webpage or info@apex-nürburg.com, we will get you set up with a company who we've been working diligently with to have rental cars for you that were very similar to what Apex has a philosophy for you. So send us an email, we'll get you set up in the right path that way. Hotel, yes, the hotel does continue. We're actually going to be releasing the dates for the hotel on January 19th. That's this coming Friday. So if you go on the Apex website and you can book a hotel, or if you go on booking.com, you can book directly at either of those places. Obviously for us, it's better if you book direct through the Apex website. But anyhow, those were the two announcements. Let's get into a little bit more detail as to how we've come to these decisions. It was back in the fall of 2016 when I found this property here inside the Nürburgring. We're on the main street. To get to Apex, you actually have to drive underneath one or two tunnels, depending on what way you come from, one of two tunnels to get into Apex. So the Nürburgring surrounds us. That's really neat when you're talking N24 and you've got for 24 hours GT3 race cars just spinning around you all night. As the temperatures cool down, the sound travels even more. It's really a special location. Today, we're in 2024 now. There's very little chance of finding something like this. So at the time, it was really a no-brainer. I saw it. A friend told me about it, pointed it out. I drove by it coincidentally at about the same time, and I said, you know what? I need to get this place. I had a property in Adenau at the time, and we were looking for a private place, somewhere that we could build a house for the weekends and things like that. And this popped up, and the location just screamed at me, buy this property. It was an absolute mess. Asbestos on the walls, on the outside. The barn was about to fall down. There were walls crumbling. It really was a mess, and it needed a substantial amount of work. At the time in 2016, I didn't even have a plan for exactly what would happen. There were a couple options on the table. Just different ideas, some of them good, some of them it seemed like they might have just created too much stress. And ultimately, the goal was to find a way to make a place that was cool, an enjoyable hangout, somewhere that people could come experience the Nürburgring and, just find a familiar property, a familiar place, familiar faces that they could maybe learn from or experience the track through. And that really was the only goal at the beginning. There wasn't a whole a lot of times when you do something, you have a business plan, you have a concept, and honestly, there was no concept. There wasn't even a name for it. So Apex had always had the goal of sharing the Nürburgring, sharing an experience, and bringing that to its audience. And at the time, it didn't even have an audience. We didn't even know what that was going to be, or I didn't even know what that was going to be because it was, at that point, solely me. So with that, obviously, there's a lot of videos that you can find on Misha's channel where Misha and I talk about the evolution of Apex, or I guess you could say not even the evolution, but the establishment of Apex and how we derived into that. I'll ask Tom if he can put a link to that somewhere in the video here for you guys to see, because that's actually a fun video where him and I talk about our goals, how it all came about, how we came about finding the name and things like that. That was a lot of fun. But the concept here today, or the topic here today, is more the actual evolution of the business. Once we established that Apex was going to be the company, we were going to do rental cars. We wanted to provide something that was social media oriented, that shared fun cars with you guys. We started out with GT86, a 218. Even before that, it was Volkswagen Ups, just to get people out in cars and get experiences. And we made really awesome relationships doing that. The first year, 2017, was really chill. It was people coming. We got to talk with everybody. We got to have a nice experience with them. And naturally, as things do, it grew and grew and grew. By 2018, there were more customers. We need more cars. We have to buy more cars. Okay, so we go and we get more cars. We build the cars. We outfit the cars. the normal things happen. People start to crash, and then you develop a system for how you handle the crashes, how you handle the repairs on the crashes. Okay, now you need more mechanics. And as business goes, you cater to the demand. You have to increase your supply to manage the demand that you have. With Apex, the demand never stopped. It was increasing day by day, week by week, month by month. We had a staff that grew from a very small team. You know, it started out with Misha and Diane at the very beginning. And it was fun. It was really a cool experience and a neat thing that I think that we'll all cherish building Apex in 2017. Tom and Tim came later in the year, and that was kind of our core group at the beginning. We had a small team. Everybody was in it for the same reasons. Everyone was just there to have fun. And it was some of the most memorable times at Apex that we can remember. But the key thing about all that was it was very relaxed. We had a nice, steady customer flow. Everybody that knew us from Apex's Instagram, from my Instagram, from Misha's YouTube channel that was just starting to blossom at that time. And it was just a nice atmosphere. It was a lot of fun for everybody. Customer, the team. It was fun. And so 2018 comes, and you know, we decided that we were going to bid on a taxi license, because who wouldn't want to run a Nürburgring taxi? You know, you hear the ring taxi, you see the old classic videos and just the history that it has, and you want to be a part of that. So we jumped into that. And of course, immediately you have to start building up staff and bringing in people, and you have to bring in new systems. What are your systems going to be to get, you know, bookings, to organize the bookings, to put them into schedules automatically? And again, the demand was big. From day one, we went from having never run a taxi operation to being the first people at the Nürburgring to run cars through the actual tourist drive taxi program, such as a McLaren 720S, an F80 that was fully built with a cage and forced bucket seats with harnesses, completely caged all around. It was, in a certain way, it was a game changer for the taxi program. It brought things to a different level, a different expectation, and Apex really succeeded at that. But with that, again, came growth and growth and growth. And in parallel, the taxi program grew, the rental program grew to where we ended up saying, okay, we're going to have two teams. We're going to have a rental team and a taxi team, and those teams grow and end up having their own needs. And all of a sudden, slowly, you start to see the goal of Apex, which was the enjoyment side of it, start to get mingled in with having to provide to the supply side of it and make sure you don't disappoint people because the Nürburgring closes. When we introduced the GT2, we would get 50 laps a day pre-booked on the GT2. So all of a sudden you have to start limiting the GT2. You can't run 50 laps in a day, in every day. You get crashes, the track closes, you get certain windows taken away, and you lose 5-10 laps at a time, and you start disappointing people. I came here from Singapore, I need to have my lap today. And all of a sudden what you're doing, the joy that you're sharing, also becomes a heavy stress. Now, there's a balance. You say you want to help people and you want to show people the Nürburgring, but you also don't want to disappoint people. And you do feel guilty. Ultimately, we made the decision, no more taxi. That was after running 3 years of taxi. We said we weren't going to bid on it again, or we weren't going to bid high on it. We put in a low bid. One company ended up getting the third spot. We didn't, which was no surprise at all. And we were very happy with that decision. Eventually, the Nürburgring came back and said, hey, the third company couldn't pay. Would you guys like to pick up the slot? Reluctantly, we did so. We used it for 1 year, not even a full year, and let it sit the other 2 years because the decision we made at the end of the year prior was actually the right decision. Don't run a taxi. We didn't want to do it anymore, but here we are with a license. Now, you get to this decision because you're weighing everything out. And for me, a big turning point with the taxi program was I was out there and I was driving one of the cars, and I met a family and I said, oh, you know, the typical discussions that you have. Tell me about yourself. What are you doing? You know, how are you here? Oh, we came on a tour bus. Oh, okay, you came on a tour bus. How'd you find out about the Nürburgring? I don't know anything about the Nürburgring, okay? How did you find out about Apex? Don't know anything. What's Apex? I don't know anything about it. Okay, so, you know, the story goes on and you find out that the person you're taking, the whole family that's booked laps, knows nothing about Apex, knows nothing about Nürburgring. They just came because there was an excursion that they could have taken, so they did it. Now, you think that's a great way to introduce the Nürburgring to somebody, but they weren't even motorheads. They just found their way here. So I started looking into, you know, where are our referrals coming from? Some of them are just Google searches, what to do in Germany. Some of them are referrals. Oh, hey, when you go to the Nürburgring, you should take a taxi. And we start asking a lot of people, how did you find us? What do you do? And overwhelming consensus was that our marketing was very good, but it was reaching people that were general thrill seekers, which is awesome, but they weren't gearheads. They weren't Nürburgring enthusiasts. They weren't GT2 RS MR enthusiasts. They were just wanting the next roller coaster. So something that Apex always, found as a basis, or something that we prided ourselves on, was delivering to you guys. That's the people who are watching this video from YouTube who know me, know Misha, knew Diana, knew Tim, Tom, and the original team, and said, you know what, I know these people. This is what we want to cater. This is the community we want to cater to. We wanted to cater to you guys. Obviously, the team has evolved as we've gone. We've gotten new people. Obviously, Tom and Tim had the British team in lock, and then George comes and it grows even more. We had, teams from Portugal. We had teams from Brazil. We had people all over. And the team grew from their audiences, or the audience grew from the team's audiences, if you would. They all interconnected. And eventually, it got to this point, like I said, of feeling like we were catering to thrill seekers who are going to Disneyland. And you look at it and you say, wait a minute, if you go buy a GT2 RS today and you put an MR kit on it, you're looking at 500,000 euro probably. And you're paying 3, 4, at one point we went up to almost 500 euro for a lap. But if you think that you're going to buy a car that's worth 500,000, you're going to risk it on every single lap. You're going to be running brake pads that cost, upwards of 1,000 euro, well over 1,000 euro for the brake pads. You've got a set of tires that could be upwards of 3,000 euro. You've got brake discs that if you want to replace the whole set, you're looking at 25, 30,000. Or if you go to other options like a surface transform, you're looking still at well over 10,000 euro for a set. And all of a sudden, you start saying, wait a minute, we're not catering to our core demographic. We're putting all of these things at risk for a very generic demographic where only maybe 20% is our intended group and 80% are thrill seekers that have Googled us and found us. And I would say that's disappointing for you guys, because those of you who truly found the enthusiasm from Apex's taxis ultimately lose out, because it was overwhelming to take care of 80% to service 20. And that's disappointing, but as a business, you have to make that decision. You have to say, look, we can't constantly be looking for new staff to grow the business. We can't constantly be buying new cars. The Nürburgring's program states you can have 2 taxis and you can have 1 reserve. Well, does your reserve fit the supercar category, or does your reserve car fit the 4-seater category? It never failed that if our reserve car was a supercar, then the 4-seater would go out. If we'd set the reserve car as another 4-seater, then the supercar would go out. Well, we came with 4 people. We don't want to go in a supercar because we need 3 extra seats. Well, I rented a McLaren. I don't want to go in an M3. And you always have this battle. You couldn't realistically run the number of laps that we did and run as quick as we did with these cars and rely solely on 2 main cars and 1 reserve. So you were always letting somebody down. So our business model, which was engage people, bring them to the Nürburgring, share excitement, it got tainted by limitations, by track closures, by, I would just say, general, balancing of expectations. And it got to the point where we lost some of the motivation to do it. We had to take a step back and assess and say, is this bringing something to the core group the way that we wanted to? Is this affecting the Apex atmosphere in a negative way? And ultimately, we collectively decided, yes, it was. And what's funny is when we finally sat down the next year, the first year we didn't do taxi, the entire team kind of had a sigh of relief over us. It would be a Saturday morning. We weren't out 45 minutes before TF opened washing the cars, which, by the way, that was fun. But we weren't washing the cars and organizing laps and being stressed about what was going to happen that day. All of a sudden, the customers could come to us at Apex. They knew where we were. We were all able to mingle with customers that were coming for rental cars, talk amongst each other, and have a much more relaxed and enjoyable atmosphere. And that was actually I would say mission accomplished. It was sad not to be doing the taxi because that was a really cool image part. It was great for the social media. You're always posting pictures of supercars and people getting out of them, you know, outside of their mind, excited and wanting to go again. I did laps with people where I was driving and we'd get done with one lap and they'd say, you got time for another one? So we'd go do another one. We'd get done with that lap. Can you do one more? We'd go do one more lap. It was like a kid on a roller coaster, and they really enjoyed it that much. So to me, that's something that I really do miss about the taxi program. But the way that it scaled, you know, I do look back and I think, man, could we have put more limitations on booking? How do you know us? Okay, prove it. You know, what's the code word I said 4 videos ago? You know what I mean? How could we have limited and kept it to our core audience? It's very difficult to do. So that was how the taxis grew, evolved, and then eventually reduced. And I still stand by the fact that for Apex and for the Apex team, that was the right decision. It is very difficult when you run a business to let go of a product, especially one that you can take so much pride in as running a Nürburgring taxi. That's something that's hard to let go of, but at the same time, know when to say when, know when your team is being stretched too thin, and make that choice. So once the taxis were done, we were able to focus more on the rental cars again. And the rental cars all of a sudden blew up. We had lines out the door. You know, we originally were running the office upstairs. That line was out the door out to the street. We built this office that I'm in now. All of a sudden, this office became too small. People are crammed in here. People are lined out the door into the yard. And I would come to Apex myself. It'd be a Saturday morning. I couldn't even find a place to park. So I'm driving around looking for parking. I'm parking back in the dirt somewhere just to get to, you know, my own place of business and get to our apartment or whatever we want to do. Couldn't get my car out of the barn because there's parking from top to bottom, cars just stacked in here. And all of a sudden, the same types of things that happened with the taxis start happening with the rental cars. You have overwhelming number of emails coming in. We want to rent from Apex. We want to book from Apex. Yeah, we're sold out today. Oh, what do you mean you're sold out today? I came all the way from here and I just want to do a lap. You know, look, we can put you on standby. We can try and get you in. And then inevitably the track closes. There's a crash. You lose an hour of business. The closure comes in. The people who you already had booked, they get pushed back. You have to find this fine balance of giving the customer what they want, but dealing with the closures. In seasonal business, which this is hands down a seasonal business, you've got obviously from around November to March, the track is closed. Then March, April, it starts to pick up. May, it gets better. Then you've got a high season. June, July, August, and into the beginning of September are really your high seasons. You have to start deciding, do I want to double the size of my fleet or triple the size of my fleet, which means triple insurance, triple costs, etc., to be able to cater to everybody who wants to come June, July, August, and then have those cars and those assets sitting around for the other 9 months of the year. It's not really a wise business decision. So ultimately, the rentals started taking a path similar to what the taxis were, where it was fun. We were proud to do it. We really enjoyed it. It just got to the point that it was chaotic. And the fact that so many people wanted to come to Apex, again, the marketing was doing its job. People were coming to Apex. Instagram was growing and growing and growing. Misha's YouTube was 100,000, 500,000, 1 million people. And all those people were coming and wanting a piece of the Nürburgring experience. And during that time frame from 2017 to 2023, the Nürburgring itself got more and more busy. More attendees, more people wanting to do laps, which led to more closures, more accidents, more traffic, which means more time. It took more time to complete a lap. And that ultimately slowed down the process of being able to get the laps out as well. Well, here we are, a company that was never about profit, was never about turnover. If that was the case, our cars would have been 50% more to rent, and we wouldn't have been able to share that experience with so many people. But here we are with our original goals in mind, and we feel as if we're letting down more people than we're satisfying because of these track closures and these limitations on the fact that there's only one Nürburgring, but there's 8 billion people in the world. Obviously, we don't have 8 billion potential customers, but you understand what I'm saying. It's a large customer base that would like to come to the Nürburgring versus what we can actually deliver. We had at points 2 and 3 media guys that were just taking pictures and doing social media and connecting with people and answering emails, answering, I would say, Facebook and Instagram messages. And It was a lot to balance when you only had one Nürburgring to deliver it on. The company itself was scalable to what almost felt like no end, but the product that we were delivering was not in our hands. The Nürburgring was not scalable. There was only one, and we couldn't influence that. So ultimately, we met in June of last year, June of 2023, and we said, you know what? We love what we do. We love what we're doing, but the rental car business is outgrowing what we want to do. Yes, we could slow down on our social media. Yes, we could scale back on different things, but it's always difficult to take a business and say, well, we're going to just try and become mediocre now. We're going to try and just level out. Sometimes the hardest thing in life, it doesn't matter if it's, business decisions, personal decisions. The hardest thing that we have to do sometimes is know when to say when. When is enough enough? That could be earning money. It could be, time to sell, time to move, time to quit a job and move on. Sometimes making a change is the most difficult thing. And stating that we weren't going to do rental cars was really a difficult decision for us. But we knew that that was something that we had to do really for our own sanity as well, and to make sure that we ended Apex on a higher note than just saying, oh, yeah, look, the reviews are going down. We're not getting the ratings that we could because the audience is too big for the product that we can deliver. So ultimately, the decision was made collectively as a team to say, let's just scale this back. Let's take stock this winter and figure out what we're going to do. So with that, the rental cars came to an end. It was an amazing run getting up to the point that we did. I'm very proud of everybody that's ever worked at Apex. It's been a really, really neat experience. There's times that I won't ever forget, good and bad. Just laughs and great experiences that we had as a team, all the way down to the crashes and the people who would crash a car and end up running and not pay their bills and things like that. We only had 2 of those people that skipped out like that, but those are all experiences that we'll remember and we'll cherish. But again, knowing when to say when is the right time to make the change. So now we decided to make the change. We've had the evolution. Some of the team is staying at Apex to help with media stuff, with workshop related things, and with the hotel. And some of the team is going on to do new ventures, which I'll let them talk about, which I'm really excited to watch, support, and witness the growth and the expansion. Because one thing that I can say for certain is everybody that worked at Apex was pretty damn cool. It was people that were motivated, that were here also for the love of the Nürburgring, and they're going to continue to be here doing these things. So these are things that we get to watch and watch the evolution of. So going forward for Apex itself, we're going to have the hotel business. The rooms are available. I mentioned that earlier in the video, as opposed to when the rooms are going to launch, the booking dates. So that's going to be available. And what we're going to do here to continue this concept, to continue the sharing of the Nürburgring in a way that's a little bit more scalable, is we're going to take the lessons that we've learned over these seasons. Apex has been running as a company since 2017. I'd been coming to the Nürburgring for years before that. George had been coming to the Nürburgring before that. And, so we've all had this enthusiasm for more than just the run of Apex. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this experience that we've learned, or that we've gathered and gained, and we're going to put it into the building of cars, to the projects that motivate us, that we feel are the ultimate ring tools. And we're going to be building these. We're going to be sharing these experiences with you guys. One of them is right here, the E36 M3. And through that, we can reach more people. We can share more. We're going to talk about track driving. We're going to talk about driving techniques, about building cars, about how to prepare the ultimate ring tool. It's not going to be from, this is the only way to do it. This is going to be, what's your mentality? Are you building a track car? Are you building a daily driver track mix? Are you building a dedicated race car? We're going to be talking about these things. I personally am going to be selling every single car that I have that was not built by us in this barn. So going forward, the only cars that I'm going to have are cars that we physically build here, that we design and build for the Nürburgring for our purposes, so they're purpose built. I have nothing against, cars that other people have built, like the GT2 SMR. I'm sorry, we're not going to build anything that's faster than that. I can tell you that right now. But the concept is that I want to build things that that we really had full influence on, that are dedicated to our craft, our use on the Nürburgring, and build them 100% the way we want, down from suspension specs to tire and wheel specs to engine specs. Does it have AC or not? Nothing is going to be left to anybody else's, well, this is just how we do it. Everything is going to be what we want and how we want within the parameters of what we've learned, what we've experienced. And for me, that's a big move, because you guys know that I've had a lot of different cars. I still have a lot of cars, so I'm going to be progressively working to move them out. We've got the E46 here. You guys know a lot about my E36 GTR wide body that we were doing. The car didn't come to fruition. Unfortunately, it was a very disappointing chain of events, but it all worked out in the end. We actually have a lineup on E36 GTR body parts, suspension parts, if you would, kinematics and things of that nature. So that's actually probably going to be the next project once the E46 is done. An E36 wide body, we've got some really interesting things that we want to do with that. I'll probably share that in its own video later. But the main goal still is to be working with you guys, to be sharing the Nürburgring with you through Apex, through its location. We want to bring in characters. We want to bring in the businesses that we work with because we choose to. We want to show you guys around the area as we see it. And hopefully that will improve your use of the Nürburgring, of the local area when you come. When you come, hopefully you can learn what shops there are, what places you can go, where we go, how we take care of business around this area. And that's something that is scalable. We won't be in a position that lets somebody down because we can't provide 3 Nürburgrings to let you guys all drive the rental cars. But more importantly, we're also going to be there for those of you who do want to run rental cars. That means that we're working with a local company who does nothing but rental cars. That's their main goal, their main purpose at the Nürburgring is to run rental cars. So they might have a little bit more flexibility in terms of their scalability and their desire to expand the business and the longevity that they can sustain that for. So with that, we're still going to be ensuring that you guys get the care that you need, the attention that you need, and of course provide the hotel, the place to stay, and hopefully still the amazing atmosphere that really I think has a lot to do with where we are. So anyways, I hope that sheds a little bit of light into our program, the decisions we've made up and down. This is all obviously stuff that I can go into detail, very fine detail on in specific videos. So if you would like to see a video on taxi program, if you'd like to see a video on rental program, if you'd like to see a video on any of this, I would actually love to do it. One of the things I really do want to do is a specific video about renting cars at the Nürburgring. I see a lot of videos about the prices and say, well, I can take my car for half that. Yeah, you probably can. But I would love to talk to you guys about what does insurance cost on a car that you rent on the Nürburgring? What do repairs cost? How does the lap ticket system work? I've seen, oh man, you can buy a lap ticket for 2,000 euro. So if they rent the car out 500 times in a year, they're just making money. These are all misconceptions that I think would be really fun to clear up and to show you guys how it actually works from somebody who's done it. And I had a pretty good run at it. But anyways, tell me anything that you guys have, any questions you might have, and just what you think of the concept as a whole. And as you know, everything's on the table, so go ahead and ask away, and we'll see what we can do. If you've made it this far, you're definitely top tier, tier 1. I thank you guys for all the comments that you've been giving on the last video, basically the return, the missing person report, if you would. Really good input, and like I said, really enjoying being back. We've got a lot of fun videos and a lot of fun ideas that we have, and it feels good to be in a position now where we're able to interact with you guys. We're able to be here making these videos and not feel like we're under the gun, making videos with rental cars coming in and out and being trampled on. Now we can do this more casually, and I think a lot more consistently. So anyways, again, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Look forward to the comments, and we'll see you guys next time.